struggling with getting divorced. I, 37 years old male, am getting divorced to my 35 years old female ex, now I suppose. We have been together for 13 years with ups and downs, but I thought mostly good. She had severe depression years ago with the kids and was a stay-at-home mom. I was working big hours renovating our house and looking after her and the kids. It was exhausting mentally and physically, but I pushed through for years. I made a huge mistake one night, very drunk. I vented all my frustrations and she heard it all. It broke her heart, and I apologized and begged for forgiveness. She accepted and told me we could move forward as a couple. Then, after she started getting better, she had an affair and left me. It damn near killed me, but I moved on and started rebuilding my life. Then a year later, she came back with an apology and wanted me back. I took her back, putting the past behind us. Fast forward to about 2 years ago, my mental health started to decline. It is hard to explain, but my emotions started to freeze and I started to feel nothing inside, no happy or sad, just numb. And it happened so slowly I did not really notice. She brought it up every now and again, but I shrugged it off as if I was fine and would pull myself out of it soon. Well, you guessed it, I did not. I just continued down that lonely path. I stopped going out, stopped seeing friends, just retreated into myself. To make it worse, I did not even really realize I was doing it. I kept saying to myself, "You were just having a break." And 2 weeks ago, she decided she has had enough and cannot do this anymore and wants a divorce. She does not want therapy or to try and work on it. She just wants out. This broke my heart all over again. I know I am far from perfect, but I did certainly love her more than words can ever describe. What hurts even more, I think, is she does not seem upset. Yes, she has cried occasionally, but she has always loved a good cry. Movies, songs, or kids, shows will start that. Instead, she has lived on her phone, updated all her social pictures, leaves the house every chance she gets, and does not come home till all hours of the morning and wants to get her own place as soon as possible. I am no expert, but it seems obvious what is happening here. But you never know, I could be wrong, and it is just her way of coping, at least that is what I am praying for. And it hurts so much seeing all this going on while I am dying inside, and I cannot say anything because it will just start a massive fight, and I am already too stressed to deal with that. Also, it would not change anything anyway, so why bother? So it just leaves me here, sad and alone. But on the bright side, at least, I know I am still capable of feeling things. It just sucks that it is so much pain. So I guess what I wanted to ask is, what are some tips for healing and moving on?
I am sorry you're going through this, but I'm going to hit you with some hard facts. I am going through it too for your information. She does not respect you. Once a woman loses respect and trust, it is hard to get back. The fact she cheated should have been the sign to end the relationship for good. With the time off, she probably realized the grass is not greener. They hardly stay with the guy they cheated with. The fact you took her back let her know she has you in control. The living on the phone, selfies, going out, etc. She is entertaining other men, or at least trying to. Best move for you. Separate entirely. Level up. Heal, of course, but use this as motivation to focus on yourself and become a better version of yourself. Get your self-respect back. Your purpose in life is not to be someone's husband or punching bag. You need to work on your own self-fulfillment, whatever that may be. Once you find it, you become unstoppable, and she will recognize it. She will probably regret treating you like she did, but that is no longer your problem. And there are women out there that will treat you like a king and align with your purpose. It is going to be challenging, but it will be worth it.
Cheat on your wife with mine? I will burn your life to the ground. Way back in the early 2000s, I began to suspect that my wife was up to something. Our 2 kids were about 4 and 6, still young, but not so young they couldn't tell you something about what had happened in their day. They started talking a lot about staying with my wife's parents during the day, which wasn't really that strange in and of itself. But since they lived about 90 minutes away, doing so 2 or 3 times a week seemed a bit much. That was basically every day she wasn't working at her part-time job. When I asked her about it, she denied it, but was never a good liar. So I started tracking the mileage on her car, and sure enough, she was driving an extra 400 or so miles per week. I knew some shit was going on. Then one day I sat down at the computer, and she had left a sticky note with her AOL password written on it next to the keyboard. I could not resist and logged in to read her emails and saw a few email exchanges between her and her college BFF, where they discussed how my wife was regularly fucking one of her ex-PFs from high school. No mention of details about him, other than my wife also talking shit about his wife, making fun of how she'd gotten fat after having kids. Anyway, I printed out these email exchanges and stashed them. I still needed to know the details, so I called a friend who was a cop, and he suggested I call a guy he knew that had left the force to become a PI. Ron was great. I paid his retainer and gave him the emails and what little I knew about my wife's activities, and he figured out exactly what she was doing. His report detailed with photos and times, dates, and locations, all about how she would take the kids to her parents, then go meet this guy for lunch, then they'd go to a dumpy motel for a few hours, after which she'd pick up the kids and return home. At this point, I hired a divorce lawyer. My parents cheated on each other, and the fallout absolutely fucked mine and my siblings' childhood. It was something that was totally unacceptable. I also asked Ron to find out what he could about this guy. Ron absolutely came through. I learned his name, Bob, that he was married and had 3 kids. I also found out that he worked as a VP of sales for his father-in-law's business. At this point, I had my lawyer draw up the divorce papers. I also asked Ron for a couple more copies of his report, and one more thing I wanted him to do for me. On the same day I had my wife served with the divorce papers at her work, I had Ron meet with this guy's wife and show her everything he'd found out. She seemed nice, and I figured that she deserved to know what her dear hubby was up to. What she did with that information was up to her. While the information about my wife's infidelity didn't really matter in my divorce proceedings, Bob's wife did a real number on him. According to the publicly available court documents from the divorce and other related proceedings, she cleaned out their joint account, took the kids, and left. As soon as her dad found out what he'd done, Bob was fired, and since her parents actually owned the house where Bob and his wife lived, he also got evicted. Their divorce was ugly. Lots of fighting in, and evidently out of court. I guess Bob went to the house and started arguing with his wife, and it escalated to the point that her brother stepped in and Bob got his nose broken. There were restraining orders, a few more incidents with police reports, criminal charges, jail time, and so on. I can't find Bob on the internet anywhere these days. Last I heard, he'd left the state and his ex-wife did okay. She went to work at her dad's company and took over after he retired. As for me, my ex and I got along well enough. I didn't engage with her on anything that wasn't related to the kids, and now that they're both adults, I don't talk to her at all anymore. I don't hate her or anything, but I only care in the context that she is my kids' mom and is important to them. Nothing beyond that. Terrorize my family? Enjoy losing everything and going back to jail. Myself and my wife had just had our second child and moved into a duplex in an amazing neighborhood, had its own playground even. We moved in and greeted the neighbors, bunch of younger people, but they seemed okay. The first day after moving in, we find that they're gone, and they're left their 7-year-old on a school day outside our door with a bag of goldfish and a note asking us to watch him while they went out. Cue Child Protective Services call number 1. The neighbors and me got along really well. Old guy next door repaired bikes for a hobby, and the next door neighbor did woodworking and would always come over to see the kids and sent his grandkids over to play to. They warned us that our upstairs neighbors were trouble, constant traffic going in and out, and parties every single night. This was 110% the truth. It got to the point we couldn't sleep at night. And we had multiple altercations to the point it was full-blown yelling matches. The landlord was useless and would do nothing to get rid of them. So I bided my time. Eventually, one night they came home in their red Mazda 3 and it was destroyed. They must have hit someone and ran. So I called the Royal Canadian Mounted Police to let them know, as at the very least I figured they'd get in deep shit. But oh man, I had no idea what I had just unleashed. Turns out the douchebag had a warrant out for his arrest for drug trafficking. He got hauled away in cuffs that night and entitled, "Woman 2 got a visit from Child Protective Services again, as they left their son home alone again." This wasn't once or twice, it was every single day. So my wife went digging for names and found the mother on Facebook. Using public record searches, we found out that they owed Easy Home nearly $48,000 in assets, as they had taken off from the original address with all of their furniture, including TVs and a huge sound system. 48 hours later, the sheriff was there with a box truck emptying their house. Took the beds, couches, TVs, the annoying subwoofer system, kitchen set, and even the dressers. Child Protective Services came shortly after and removed the child from the house. I didn't enjoy seeing him taken away, but they never fed him, and he was always in the same clothing and it was falling apart. We went out of our way to make sure he had full meals when we could, not going to let a kid starve. The douchebag went to jail for drug possession. He was out on bail and hid the drugs in a dresser they took. Entitled, "Woman 1 went to jail for assaulting the sheriff," and entitled woman 2 actually had a happy ending, far as I know. After she lost her son, she went through multiple programs to clean herself up and started working to provide for her son. Ran into her a couple years ago and she thanked me for what I did. I got pro-revenge on the drug dealer and his girlfriend, and thankfully helped someone get on the right path.